All right, let's jump right in. Today we're going to be talking about something that's really at the heart of Islam, the ritual prayer, which is known as Salah.
Prayer Educational Summary. Which,
It sounds a little bit dry, doesn't it?
Exactly.
Like a textbook title.
or like a manual you'd find shoved in the back of a drawer somewhere.
Yeah, a quick how-to guide.
Step 1, stand up. Step 2, bow, that kind of thing.
Right.
But as I actually started reading through this breakdown of Salah, that's the Arabic term for the Islamic prayer, I realized this isn't just a basic manual on how to pray.
No, not at all.
It's basically a blueprint for an entire operating system for life.
I love that.
Yeah.
An operating system.
We aren't just talking about, a ritual people do in a mosque. We are looking at a document that outlines this really complex web of legal conditions, physical discipline,
and mental frameworks.
Yes, mental frameworks.
That is honestly the perfect way to frame it. Over 1 billion people perform Salah. And for the outsider, it's arguably the most visible aspect of the faith.
Right, you see all the time.
You see the movement, the bowing, the prostrating.
It was very rhythmic.
Exactly. It looks like a rhythmic physical exercise or maybe a form of meditation to some people.
Yeah.
Today is to take what looks like a simple set of movements and show you the surprisingly intricate engineering underneath it all.
Because there is a lot of engineering there.
A ton. We're moving from just observing what it is to really understanding how it works and why it's structured the exact way it is.
And the why seems to be tied to the highest possible stakes.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, the document doesn't bury the lead at all, and it identifies prayer as the second pillar of Islam. But it uses this specific phrase that really caught my attention.
The greatest pillar.
The greatest pillar after the testimony of faith.
That is such a critical distinction. The testimony of faith, the Shahada, is the internal belief.
Right.
It's the switch you flip in your heart, where you accept there is one God and Muhammad is his messenger.
That's the entry point.
Exactly, the entry point. But the prayer, that's the proof of concept.
Proof of concept. I like that.
The source material quotes a saying of the Prophet, a hadith, that says, "The first matter a servant will be brought to account for on the day of judgment is the prayer."
See, that's stopping me in my tracks.
It's heavy.
It's basically an audit. The text implies that before you look at charity or kindness or how you treated your neighbor,
Or your career achievements.
right, before any of that, the first line item on the spreadsheet is simply, did you maintain the prayer?
Right. It prioritizes that vertical relationship.
Between the human and the divine.
Exactly. It sets that as the absolute foundation for everything else. There's another hadith mentioned in the notes that says Islam is built upon 5.
Listing prayer as one of the structural beams.
Right. Think of it like architecture. The belief is the foundation, but the prayer is the load-bearing wall.
And if you remove a load-bearing wall...
It doesn't matter how nice the furniture is inside. The whole roof caves in.
Wow. Okay, so it's structural. But here's where I want to push a bit deeper. Because the source material suggests it's not just like a tax you pay to God to keep the roof up.
Right, it's not a transaction.
It actually quotes a verse from the Quran, chapter 29, verse 45. It says, "Indeed, prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing,"
Yes.
which suggests it's supposed to have a functional output.
That's the key insight for anyone trying to understand the purpose here. It's a regulatory mechanism.
A regulatory mechanism.
The theology here isn't just do this because I said so. It's do this because it changes you.
Right.
If you are standing in a state of formalized submission 5 times a day, theoretically that creates a buffer.
Like a reset button.
A recurring reset button. It makes it psychologically and spiritually difficult to engage in corruption or immorality in the hours between those prayers.
So it's a metric of your standing, but also a tool for self-correction. Now, if the stakes are that high, if this is the first thing you're judged on, and it's the thing keeping you moral, you'd assume the rules for doing it are pretty strict.
Oh, they are.
You can't just wing it.
No, absolutely not. You cannot just freestyle this.
Which brings us to the prerequisites.
Right. This is where we get into the conditions of prayer. And we really need to define our terms here because the word condition has a very specific legal meaning in Islamic jurisprudence.
The text actually separates conditions from the actual acts of the prayer itself.
Exactly. A condition is a prerequisite. It must be present before you start, and it must stay true during the whole process.
Like a check engine light.
That's a great analogy. If the check engine light is on, the car doesn't drive. Or better yet, think of it like a surgeon scrubbing in.
Okay.
You can't do the surgery unless the prep is done perfectly.
Yeah.
If a condition drops at any point, the prayer is invalid.
So walk us through this pre-flight checklist.
Yeah.
What do you need to do to even step onto the mat?
The first one is physical. Purification. The text is very explicit about this. Allah does not accept prayer without purification.
This is ritual washing, right?
Yes, called wudu. You wash the hands, the face, arms, feet, all, in a very specific order.
This is really interesting to me because it's a physical transition.
It is.
You could be coming from a stressful meeting or the gym or just waking up from sleep. You can't just immediately jump into the spiritual zone.
Right. You have to physically wash the world off you first.
Exactly.
It's a sensory disruption. The water wakes you up, it cleans you, but it also signals to your brain that ordinary time is over and sacred time is beginning.
And that cleanliness extends to the environment too, right?
Yes. The source mentions the removal of impurities. So your body must be clean, your clothes must be clean, and the actual patch of ground you're standing on must be clean.
It cites a verse for that too. And purify your garments.
Right. It really emphasizes the dignity of the act.
You're presenting yourself for an audience with the king, so to speak.
Exactly. Which leads naturally to the next condition covering the ara.
Which is modesty.
Modesty, yes. There are minimum standards for covering the body for both men and women.
Again, it's about decorum.
You dress for the occasion. It's not about style. It's about respect.
Okay, so we're clean, we're dressed properly. Then there's the geometry of it.
Facing the Qibla.
Yes.
This is actually one of my favorite concepts in the whole document.
It's pretty amazing.
No matter where you are on Earth, you face the Kaaba in Mecca. It creates this unified focal point.
I was trying to picture that.
If you could visualize it from space, it's like a radial web.
Yeah.
Someone in New York is facing southeast. Someone in London is facing southeast. Someone in Tokyo is facing west.
Everyone aligns to a single coordinate.
It connects the individual in their lonely apartment to a global community.
That is a powerful image, just everyone turning toward the center.
It really is.
But then we hit the condition that I think creates the most friction with modern life.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about.
Especially for you listeners out there who live by your Outlook calendars.
Prayer at its prescribed time.
Yes.
Discipline, that is the operative word here. The prayers are pegged to the position of the sun. Dawn, noon, afternoon, sunset, and night.
So you can't just batch process them.
No.
You can't say, I'm busy today, I'll just do all 5 when I get home tonight.
Absolutely not. A condition of validity is that the prayer happens in its specific window. If the sun sets and you haven't prayed the afternoon prayer, you've missed the slot.
It forces you to organize your life around the prayer, rather than fitting the prayer into your life.
Yes. It essentially disrupts the capitalist workflow. You have to stop producing, stop consuming, and just be built for a few minutes.
It's basically anti-hustle culture built right into the faith.
That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so we have the external stuff down, clean body, clean clothes, right direction, right time. But the final condition listed is internal.
Intention, or niyya.
Right, the engine of the whole thing.
Yeah.
The source quotes that famous hadith, actions are judged by intentions.
Yeah.
But explain this to me like I'm 5.
Mm.
Because I can't see an intention. How is that a condition? In the same way that washing your face is a condition.
It means you cannot sleepwalk into prayer. You have to mentally resolve, I'm performing the dawn prayer for the sake of God right now.
So muscle memory isn't enough.
Exactly. If you just stand up and go through the motions because your body knows what to do, but your mind is planning your grocery list.
Or replaying an argument you had earlier.
Right. If your mind is elsewhere, the validity is compromised. It demands mindfulness. You have to be totally on.
It prevents it from becoming just empty aerobics.
Precisely.
So, assuming we've met all these conditions, we're clean, focused, facing Mecca, and we start the prayer.
Here we go.
This is where the document gets really technical, and I think it's super helpful for you listening to understand the structure here. It breaks the acts inside the prayer into 2 categories.
Wajibat and sunnah.
Right.
For anyone who likes systems, this is where it gets really good. In Islamic law, not every movement has the same legal weight.
Wajibat are the obligatory acts. Sunnah are the recommended acts.
Let's look at the obligatory first. The must-dos.
If I skip one of these intentionally, is the prayer void?
Generally, yes. These are the structural beams we talked about earlier. If you miss a wajib act intentionally, the prayer is broken.
And the list is very scripted regarding what you actually say. It lists all takbirs except the opening one.
Right.
Now, a takbir is saying, Allahu Akbar, God is greatest.
Think of the takbir as a transition signal. Every time you move from standing to bowing or from bowing to the floor, you say Allahu Akbar.
It's like a verbal punctuation mark.
Exactly. It keeps you focused. Those are obligatory.
And then there are specific lines for specific postures.
Yes.
The text lists a phrase, Sami'a Allahu liman hamida, which means Allah hears those who praise him. You say that when you stand up from bowing.
And then there's Subhana Rabbi al-Azim while you're actually bowing.
Which means, glory be to my Lord the Magnificent.
Right. And then when you are on the floor, physically prostrating, you say Subhana Rabbi al-Ala.
Glory be to my Lord the Most High.
Notice the contrast there.
I did. When you are physically at your lowest point, literally with your face in the dust, you verbally acknowledge God as the Most High.
It's a beautiful poetic inversion.
It physically enacts humility. You lower yourself to elevate the divine.
It really does. And the text also lists the first tashahhud, that sitting part in the middle of the prayer, as obligatory too.
So if you strip it down, the wajibat ensures that the core dialogue of the prayer actually happens.
You have praised God, you have humbled yourself, you have testified.
Got it. Then we have the sunnah acts. The text calls these recommended.
Right.
Does that mean they are optional, like extra credit?
Optional might be a little too casual a word. Think of it this way. The wajibat makes the prayer valid. The sunnah makes the prayer complete.
Okay.
These are the things the Prophet Muhammad did, and Muslims do them to emulate him perfectly.
So if you miss a sunnah act by accident, your prayer still counts.
Yes, your prayer still counts, but you want to include them to get the full spiritual benefit. It's the difference between passing a class and getting an A+ wow.
That makes sense. The list includes things like the opening supplication.
Tula al-istiftah.
Right. This is a specific prayer right at the start, before you even read the Quran.
It's a moment of orientation. It sets the stage before the main recitation begins.
And then there are physical gestures, raising the hands during the takbir and placing the right hand over the left.
This is pure tradition. Why the right hand over the left over the chest? Because that's how the Prophet prayed.
It's about connecting your physical body to a historical lineage.
It signifies discipline and restraint. You aren't fidgeting, you are locked in.
Here's one that confused me a little bit, though. Reciting aloud or silently in proper places? I didn't realize the volume settings changed.
They do, and it's fascinating. The dawn prayer far is recited aloud.
Okay.
The first two parts of the sunset and night prayers are allowed too. But the noon and afternoon prayers are completely silent.
Why the mix?
There are a few interpretations, but a really compelling one is about the environment.
How so?
The loud prayers happen when the world is generally quieter early morning and night.
Oh, interesting.
And the silent prayers happen during the noisy bustle of the day. It mirrors the state of the world around you.
Wow, I love that. But legally speaking, getting the volume right is considered a sunnah act.
Yes.
So zooming out on this whole section, knowing the difference between wajibat and sunnah seems to really take the anxiety out of it.
It really does. It tells you what is critical and what is embellishment.
It prevents perfectionism from paralyzing the believer.
Exactly. You know what the absolute essentials are, but you always have room to grow and perfect the practice through the sunnah.
All right, so we've talked about the what and the how. Let's talk about the when.
Schedule.
Right. We mentioned the 5 daily prayers, Fajr, Dur, Asr, Maghrib, and Isha. That's the rhythm of the day.
Yes.
But the source material actually lists a lot more than just those 5.
It does. And this is where we move from seeing prayer as a duty to seeing prayer as a lifestyle.
Yeah, because if you only look at the 5 obligatory prayers, you might just see it as a checklist.
But when you look at the full menu provided in the text, you see a constant state of connection. It's not just about meeting the minimums.
The text mentions Sunnah Rawatib, 12 rakas daily. What are these?
These are essentially the buffers. They are voluntary prayers attached to the obligatory ones.
Like extra units.
Exactly. For example, praying 2 units before the dawn prayer or 4 before the noon prayer. They serve as a warm-up or a cool-down.
Or warm up to the main event.
Right. You don't just rush into the king's presence. You prepare. And you don't just run away the second it's over. You linger.
I really like that, the lingering aspect. It softens the edges of the obligation.
It does.
And then there are the purely voluntary ones that aren't attached to the main 5 at all. The text highlights tahajjud.
Ah, the night prayer. This is the heavy hitter.
The source cites a verse for this too.
Yes, chapter 17, verse 79. This happens late at night, 3:00 a.m., 4:00 a.m., while the rest of the world is asleep.
That's incredibly private.
It's intimate. There is no social capital to be gained because no one sees you doing it. It's just you and the divine.
Which makes it powerful.
It's considered one of the most spiritually powerful acts a Muslim can do because it requires the sacrifice of sleep.
And then there's istikhara, the prayer for guidance. This one struck me as very practical for the average person.
It completely transforms decision-making.
How so?
If you have a major choice, taking a new job, getting married, moving to a new city, you don't just make a pros and cons list.
You pray.
You pray 2 units and ask God to guide you to what is best for your worldly life and your afterlife.
It kind of outsources the anxiety of decision-making.
Exactly. It outsources it to the divine. You're asking for a divine audit of your choice.
The source also finishes with prayers for specific cosmic or community events.
The eclipse prayer.
Yes, the eclipse prayer, the rain prayer, and the funeral prayer.
It covers the entire spectrum of human experience. The eclipse prayer acknowledges cosmic power. The rain prayer istisqa acknowledges our total dependence on nature for sustenance.
And the funeral prayer janazah acknowledges mortality.
Yes.
That janazah prayer is interesting because it's a community obligation, isn't it?
Yes, it's called fard kifaya. That's a legal term meaning communal obligation.
Meaning the group has to do it.
If a Muslim dies, the community must pray over them. If nobody does, the whole community is at fault.
That really reinforces the social bond.
Mm-hmm.
You are responsible for each other, even in death.
Absolutely.
So when you look at this entire list, from the daily 5 to the 3 a.m. private prayer to the community funeral prayer, it really supports that initial idea we talked about.
That this is an operating system.
Yes. There's a prayer protocol for almost every state of being.
Precisely. Whether you are waking up, making a business decision, burying a loved one, or watching an eclipse, the response is always the same. Connect to the Creator.
It integrates the spiritual into the mundane.
It removes the barrier between religious life and real life.
So, to synthesize what we've pulled from this document today for you guys listening, Salah is a rigorous system.
Very rigorous.
It has conditions like purification and intention that act as strict prerequisites. It has a structural anatomy of obligatory and recommended acts involving precise movement and speech.
And it operates on a cosmic schedule.
Right.
Yeah.
A schedule that covers everything from the daily sun cycle to life and death moments.
And for you listening, I think the real takeaway is about demystification.
Demystifying the practice.
The next time you see a Muslim praying in an airport terminal or maybe a quiet corner of an office, you can understand that it's not just a random ritual.
It's a disciplined realignment.
Yes. It's a person stepping out of the rat race to meet a set of strict conditions. Cleanliness, focus, direction, to recalibrate their moral compass.
It's a reboot for the soul.
A reboot 5 times a day. And honestly, in a world of constant noise and distraction, that kind of disciplined silence is actually pretty radical.
It really is. I want to leave everyone with a final thought, though. Something that has been sticking with me since we discussed that verse 29.45 at the very beginning.
The one about prayer prohibiting immorality.
Right. The text explicitly says prayer prohibits immorality and wrongdoing.
It's a bold promise.
It is a bold promise, but it leads to a pretty provocative question.
Okay.
If the text says prayer does prohibit immorality, then what does it mean if a person prays but still acts immorally?
Oh, wow.
Did the prayer fail? Or, based on what we learned about conditions and intentions today, did the person fail to actually pray?
That is the ultimate question. Is it the system that failed or the user?
Right. If the conditions, especially that internal intention, weren't met, did the prayer ever really happen at all?
That's fascinating to think about.
Something for you all to think about as we wrap up. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
Always a pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next one.